when the Queen of Tennis was left stunned. When Aryna Sabalenka picked up the phone in her luxury hotel room, she naturally assumed the incoming call would be a routine update regarding her own upcoming campaign at the prestigious Stuttgart tournament. As the reigning world #1, her mind was entirely focused on her strategic preparation, her training schedules, and her defense of the top spot. But she was completely wrong. The Belarusian powerhouse sat straight up in her bed, her eyes widening as she listened to a narrative that deviated entirely from the usual tennis gossip. It was not a story about a tactical victory by a top 10 rival, nor was it about any sudden shift in the official WTA rankings. Instead, it was an unbelievable report regarding how Germany, a nation known for its reserved and highly disciplined sports culture, was rolling out a royal welcome for a 20-year-old Filipino girl who had yet to lift a single senior Grand Slam trophy. Let me make this absolutely clear right from the very start. This was not just another ordinary, run-of-the-mill tennis tournament where fans politely clap from the stands. The iconic Porsche Arena in Stuttgart had unexpectedly transformed into an electric, high-energy festival celebrating Filipino national pride. An astonishing wave of over 55,000 passionate people had flooded into the European city, proudly waving blue, red, and golden flags while chanting the famous battle cry, "Laban Alex," with deafening enthusiasm. A young athlete ranked 45th in the world, someone who had never even managed to crack the elite top 20, was suddenly drawing the kind of massive, hyper-loyal crowd that even the world #1 could only dream of attracting on her best days. And here is the exact psychological twist that makes this entire situation so fascinating. Just a few short weeks prior to this event, Alex Eala had been soundly and brutally defeated by the American star Coco Gauff in Dubai, a match that many critics assumed would stall her momentum. Yet, Sabalenka, a fierce competitor holding 4 Grand Slam titles who had dominated the world #1 ranking for 2 consecutive years, was the one left utterly paralyzed with astonishment by the scenes unfolding before her eyes. Have you ever truly wondered what hidden X factor makes an athlete capable of shaking an entire international stadium without even needing a cabinet full of championship trophies? That is exactly the cultural and sporting mystery we are going to dive into today. The unstoppable Eala Effect has officially crept all the way to the absolute pinnacle of professional tennis, and this time, even the ultimate queen of the sport could no longer turn a blind eye to it. Before we dive deep into the intricate details of this incredibly dramatic story, if you are a true fan of these untold, behind-the-scenes tennis narratives that the mainstream media often misses, do not forget to hit the subscribe button for the Pro Tennis 360 channel right now. We are fully committed to bringing you unique insights, historical context, and deep sports perspectives that you simply will not find anywhere else on the internet. Now, let us immediately return to the heart of Stuttgart, where the atmosphere was just beginning to get absolutely wild. 50 years of history, but never anything like this. For nearly half a century, the historic Porsche Tennis Grand Prix has served as a highly prestigious and permanent annual fixture on the global WTA calendar. The absolute greatest legends in the history of modern tennis have graced the pristine clay courts of this indoor arena. From the clinical dominance of Steffi Graf and the unmatched athleticism of Martina Navratilova, to the glamorous power of Maria Sharapova and the fierce majesty of Serena Williams. However, absolutely nothing in those 50 years of elite sports history could have possibly prepared the veteran tournament organizers for the absolute logistical chaos that erupted the exact moment Alex Eala's name was officially printed on the tournament draw sheet. This is the precise moment where our story transitions from merely interesting to something that sounds almost entirely fictional. Several days before the very first ball was scheduled to be served, an estimated 55,000 Filipino tennis fans began pouring into the city of Stuttgart. They arrived in massive, organized waves from Munich, from Frankfurt, and from Berlin, representing a massive portion of the 100,000-strong Filipino diaspora currently living and working across Germany. But it didn't stop there. Enthusiastic supporters also crossed international borders, traveling from Switzerland, Italy, Austria, and the United Kingdom, essentially utilizing every single direct flight or train route that could get them to the stadium. And here is the jaw-dropping reality that left both the corporate tournament organizers and the seasoned international media shaking their heads in sheer disbelief. Outside the gates of the Porsche Arena, hundreds of fans had literally set up camps to sleep overnight on the concrete. Brightly colored Filipino flags were securely tied to every single public streetlight, creating a vibrant visual landscape that effectively prevented the German city from falling asleep. The moment the main gates were officially thrown open, the massive crowd rushed into the venue like an unstoppable tidal wave. The physical stadium itself features a maximum seating capacity of just over 5,000 spectators, yet the sheer number of enthusiastic people gathered outside the walls had swelled to more than 11 times that amount. From the sunny courts of Melbourne to the luxury complexes of Dubai, from the high-stakes environment of Miami to the indoor arenas of Linz, the legendary Eala Effect has relentlessly followed this 20-year-old prodigy across the globe. It manifests as completely packed stadiums, severely overloaded online ticketing servers, and an unprecedented level of fan loyalty that the tennis world has rarely seen. But in Stuttgart, this cultural movement reached the completely unpredictable and historic scale. A veteran tournament umpire even remarked earlier this season that entering the arena felt exactly like walking into a high-intensity Davis Cup tie, where fans are not just cheering for an individual athlete, but are passionately fighting for the honor of their entire nation. The numbers that made Sabalenka reflect. It was not merely a matter of Filipino sports fans traveling from every corner of the European continent to cheer for Alex Eala's personal success. They were using the global platform of the WTA to loudly celebrate the cultural identity of the Philippines itself. They chose to honor their ancestral roots through synchronized songs, traditional dances, and a sea of flags, forcing the traditionally conservative tennis community to pay close attention. Within the interactive commercial zone known as the Porsche Village, Eala's autograph was officially designated by tournament staff as the single most sought-after item of the entire week, long before she had even laced up her shoes to step onto the actual match court. Thousands of fans waited patiently in winding lines just to catch a fleeting glimpse of their hero. In an incredibly unique display of devotion, some fans even handed her authentic medals and historic family heirlooms to sign, a gesture that was both deeply personal and profoundly meaningful. This is the exact point where the cold hard data and financial statistics begin to tell an undeniable story of commercial dominance. Industry analytics reports later revealed that the average secondary market ticket price for Eala's highly anticipated first-round match against Leylah Fernandez skyrocketed to over 400% higher than the tournament's standard baseline ticket rates. Within a mere 2 hours of Eala being confirmed for the main draw, the official digital ticketing website crashed repeatedly due to an unprecedented surge in server traffic. However, the specific numbers that truly forced Aryna Sabalenka to step back and deeply reflect on her own standing were those that directly compared Eala's organic drawing power to her own massive brand, even during a week where the tournament had technically sold out its tickets in record-breaking time. For context, Eala's pre-tournament press conference broadcast at the Australian Open back in January accumulated an astonishing 196,000 live views on digital platforms. That single press conference drew more than 6 times the viewership of ATP superstar Carlos Alcaraz and nearly 20 times the total digital audience of Sabalenka herself. Furthermore, the massive public queues for her opening round match on the remote Court 6 stretched completely across Melbourne Park, ultimately forcing tournament security personnel to reluctantly turn away hundreds of ticket-holding spectators for safety reasons. Her high-profile appearance in the Middle East was also identified as the singular direct cause behind a massive 48% year-on-year surge in total ticket sales for the Dubai event. When you pause to think about that statistical reality for a moment, it becomes mind-blowing. An unseeded player who has never won a Grand Slam title and is currently ranked well outside the top 40 is actively generating commercial metrics that even the most elite multi-million-dollar superstars would deeply envy, outselling everyone else combined. The main stadium in Dubai successfully sold out every single seat for every match Eala participated in, prompting the experienced tournament director Salah Talak to publicly admit to the press that this young woman had single-handedly introduced an entirely new, deeply passionate demographic to the sport of tennis. Tickets were operating under an extreme, unprecedented market demand, yet within minutes, the entire inventory was completely wiped out. This level of rapid, organic ticket consumption was something the seasoned Middle Eastern tennis executives had never witnessed in their entire professional careers. And then came the specific merchandising statistic that left the global sports apparel industry completely dumbfounded. Sales data revealed that custom Eala jerseys and branded apparel accounted for a staggering, unbelievable 57% of the total merchandise revenue generated at the prestigious Miami Open. Let that sink in. She single-handedly generated more merchandise sales than all of the other elite male and female tennis players on the tournament field combined. On the specific morning that the tournament's official retail store updated its inventory online, the digital booking and shipping system suffered a total, catastrophic server failure due to the sheer volume of orders originating from international fans. Former professional tennis players on the tour have also been forced to openly acknowledge this overwhelming systemic demand driven by the Filipino fanbase. A mere 12 months ago, a highly provocative question posed by American tennis star Sam Querrey on the popular Nothing Major podcast would have been dismissed as completely ridiculous by sports analysts. He openly asked his co-hosts, "Is this young girl honestly the single biggest crowd draw in the entire realm of women's professional tennis right now? Is her cultural reach actually bigger than Sabalenka? Is her name generating more pure noise than Coco Gauff?" His fellow former professional player, Steve Johnson, did not hesitate and answered with absolute bluntness. Yes, it is completely crazy, but it is true. It is absolutely mind-blowing to witness exactly how many thousands of people she is drawing from every single geographical corner of the world. Meanwhile, the legendary server John Isner heavily emphasized the broader corporate and business aspects of the phenomenon. He described the massive Filipino population as a massive, highly lucrative sports market that tennis executives had historically completely missed out on, emphasizing that these loyal fans now finally have a legitimate, world-class superstar to rally behind in the women's game. This is no longer a simple story about a promising young athlete showing potential. This has evolved into a full-scale economic and cultural phenomenon that is actively forcing international tournaments to completely reevaluate the true commercial value of a player's name, regardless of what the official ranking points say. The moment Sabalenka could not hide her astonishment. Aryna Sabalenka's immediate, unfiltered reaction to learning about the jaw-dropping fan reception awaiting Eala in Stuttgart was captured vividly by a nearby camera crew and quickly spread like wildfire across global social media networks. Having earned 4 prestigious Grand Slam trophies and securely holding the World No.1 ranking for 2 consecutive years, the powerful Belarusian athlete was completely accustomed to being the absolute epicenter of attention wherever she traveled. Television cameras routinely tracked her every movement, from the hotel lobby to the court. Eager fans constantly begged her for autographs along the fences, and massive stadiums naturally buzzed with intense energy whenever she stepped out under the lights. However, upon her arrival at the Porsche Arena in Stuttgart, that thunderous roar and collective excitement was distinctly not directed toward her. The historic indoor stands were heavily decorated from top to bottom with the vibrant colors of Filipino flags. The rhythmic, earth-shaking chants of Laban Alex echoed relentlessly through the concrete hallways of the arena. Thousands of dedicated fans packed themselves tightly into every single available corner of the venue, their voices rising together in an overwhelming expression of pure, unadulterated national joy. They had explicitly gathered there to support Eala, the 20-year-old Filipina athlete ranked 45th in the world who had never won a Grand Slam title, not the top-seeded Sabalenka. Sabalenka's immediate, unfiltered reaction to learning about the jaw-dropping fan reception awaiting Eala in Stuttgart was captured vividly by a nearby camera crew and quickly spread like wildfire across global social media networks. Having earned 4 prestigious Grand Slam trophies and securely holding the World No.1 ranking for 2 consecutive years, the powerful Belarusian athlete was completely accustomed to being the absolute epicenter of attention wherever she traveled. Television cameras routinely tracked her every movement, from the hotel lobby to the court.
Eager fans constantly begged her for autographs along the fences, and massive stadiums naturally buzzed with intense energy whenever she stepped out under the lights. However, upon her arrival at the Porsche Arena in Stuttgart, that thunderous roar and collective excitement was distinctly not directed toward her. The historic indoor stands were heavily decorated from top to bottom with the vibrant colors of Filipino flags. The rhythmic, earth-shaking chants of Laban Alex echoed relentlessly through the concrete hallways of the arena. Thousands of dedicated fans packed themselves tightly into every single available corner of the venue, their voices rising together in an overwhelming expression of pure, unadulterated national joy. They had explicitly gathered there to support Eala, the 20-year-old Filipina athlete ranked 45th in the world who had never won a Grand Slam title, not the top-seeded Sabalenka. Sabalenka's immediate, unfiltered reaction to learning about the jaw-dropping fan reception awaiting Eala in Stuttgart was captured vividly by a nearby camera crew and quickly spread like wildfire across global social media networks. Having earned 4 prestigious Grand Slam trophies and securely holding the World No.1 ranking for 2 consecutive years, the powerful Belarusian athlete was completely accustomed to being the absolute epicenter of attention wherever she traveled. Television cameras routinely tracked her every movement, from the hotel lobby to the court. Eager fans constantly begged her for autographs along the fences, and massive stadiums naturally buzzed with intense energy whenever she stepped out under the lights. However, upon her arrival at the Porsche Arena in Stuttgart, that thunderous roar and collective excitement was distinctly not directed toward her. The historic indoor stands were heavily decorated from top to bottom with the vibrant colors of Filipino flags. The rhythmic, earth-shaking chants of Laban Alex echoed relentlessly through the concrete hallways of the arena. Thousands of dedicated fans packed themselves tightly into every single available corner of the venue, their voices rising together in an overwhelming expression of pure, unadulterated national joy. They had explicitly gathered there to support Eala, the 20-year-old Filipina athlete ranked 45th in the world who had never won a Grand Slam title, not the top-seeded Sabalenka. Sabalenka's immediate, unfiltered reaction to learning about the jaw-dropping fan reception awaiting Eala in Stuttgart was captured vividly by a nearby camera crew and quickly spread like wildfire across global social media networks. Having earned 4 prestigious Grand Slam trophies and securely holding the World No.1 ranking for 2 consecutive years, the powerful...
They once faced each other, but not on the court. There is an incredibly crucial, highly intimate technical detail within this narrative that very few casual sports fans or mainstream tennis journalists might have actually noticed. Alex Eala and Aryna Sabalenka had actually faced each other long before this chaotic week in Germany. But crucially, it was not within the high-pressure confines of an official, competitive WTA Tour match. Sabalenka had already been given a rare front-row seat to observe the raw, natural tennis talent and fierce work ethic that would ultimately propel the young Filipina into global stardom. This occurred during their highly intensive, regular training sessions as elite academy peers down at the world-renowned Rafa Nadal Academy located in Mallorca, Spain. However, quietly observing a young player's technical strokes during a private, closed-door practice session is a world away from witnessing the explosive reality of the Eala Effect live and in person. Seeing completely packed stadiums, hearing thunderous applause that shakes the rafters, and watching the total transformation of a standard European sports competition into a massive, joyous festival of Filipino pride was an entirely different psychological experience for the world champion. To truly comprehend exactly why a country like Germany would welcome Alex Eala with such an unprecedented level of passion, you have to look deeper into the structural mechanics of this global movement. The respected chairman of the Philippine Sports Commission, Patrick Gregorio, recently noted to the media that Eala's massive global popularity has single-handedly paved the economic way for the upcoming Philippine Women's Open, which will make history as the nation's first ever official WTA-sanctioned event. Furthermore, the former president of Resto PH, Eric Ting, pointed out that wherever sports can successfully draw such massive, deeply passionate crowds, there will always be a community of people hungry for cultural connection and the prime commercial opportunity to proudly showcase traditional Filipino hospitality and cuisine to the Western world. Yet, at its absolute core, the historic Eala Effect is not merely a story about economic metrics,
ticket sales or merchandise revenue. It is fundamentally a profound story about deep cultural representation. At the tender age of just 12 years old, Eala made the painful sacrifice to leave her home in the Philippines behind to live and train full-time at the rigorous Nadal Academy in Spain. To relentlessly chase her professional dream, she willingly surrendered her normal childhood, her daily comforts, and her constant physical proximity to her loving family. In the span of just one calendar year, she miraculously soared from being ranked world number 140 all the way to number 29. In a single historic tournament run, she defeated 3 separate Grand Slam champions back-to-back, officially becoming the first ever Filipino tennis player in history to break into the elite top 50, top 40, and top 30 brackets. The girl with a sampaguita in her hair. Throughout that incredibly demanding, high-pressure international journey, Alex Eala has made a conscious, unwavering effort to never forget or distance herself from her cultural roots. When she competed on the pristine, traditional grass courts of Wimbledon, she proudly wore a delicate white sampaguita flower pinned carefully into her hair, the sacred national flower of the Philippines. During her high-profile post-match television interviews, she routinely bypasses standard English responses to speak directly and eloquently in Tagalog. She constantly utilizes her global platform to express her deep, heartfelt gratitude to her massive fan bases residing in Manila, Dubai, Los Angeles, London, and everywhere in between. That profound, unbreakable cultural bond was put vividly on display for the entire world to see inside the Porsche Arena. The thousands of fans who traveled long distances did not merely show up to politely support Eala's tennis career, they arrived with the explicit intention to celebrate their shared identity alongside her. With giant flags flying high in the indoor air and traditional songs echoing through the stadium, they successfully transformed a cold, industrial German arena into a warm, welcoming home away from home. This is the exact point where our narrative hits closest to the heart. The idea that being incredibly vocal and unapologetically proud of your heritage is absolutely essential, especially when navigating a globalized sport. During the tournament week, Eala shared a deeply profound sentiment with the official WTA editorial website, stating, "Very few nationalities on this planet are genuinely as loud and as immensely proud as us Filipinos. There are so many of us spread across the globe that I truly think it is beautiful and should be celebrated. The fact that there is finally someone out there consistently representing the Philippines on the international athletic stage." The undisputed queen of tennis, Aryna Sabalenka, was left completely stunned by the sheer magnitude of this movement, an organic wave of devotion that has now officially reached the very pinnacle of professional sports. This is distinctly not a shallow story about a modern athlete desperately seeking internet fame or corporate sponsorships. It is the deeply moving saga of a young woman willingly carrying the hopes, dreams, and historical pride of an entire nation every single time she steps out on the court. Defeat on the court, but not in the hearts of fans. Ultimately, Alex Eala's highly publicized Stuttgart Open campaign came to an end much sooner than she or her thousands of dedicated fans had hoped, despite the massive wave of emotional support echoing from the stands. Her formidable first-round opponent was none other than Leylah Fernandez, another incredibly talented left-handed tennis star of Filipino heritage who was currently ranked 25th in the world and famously held the title of a former US Open singles runner-up. The highly anticipated match served as a stark, realistic benchmark for where Eala currently stands on her professional journey. On that particular day, Fernandez's superior veteran experience, tactical maturity, and higher ranking proved to be a bit too much for the younger Eala to overcome. The final scoreboard read a tough 6-1, 6-4 in favor of Fernandez. However, despite suffering a disappointing first-round exit on paper, Eala's profound cultural achievements during that historic week remained completely untouched and untarnished. Over 55,000 passionate human beings had actively traveled to Stuttgart with the primary purpose of watching her play tennis. She had successfully turned a reserved German city into a vibrant, unforgettable celebration of Filipino pride, proving to global sports analysts that official ranking points are certainly not the only way to measure an individual's true worth or societal impact. Following the emotional conclusion of the match, Eala took a moment to deeply reflect on her intense experience in Stuttgart, telling reporters, "When I need to focus out there, I can absolutely focus. I pride myself on maintaining a very high level of professionalism. I honestly feel like I handle these massive, high-pressure situations quite well when you consider that this is only my first full year competing consistently on the professional circuit. I deeply understand that none of this incredible fan support would be happening if I didn't consistently put in the hard work behind closed doors, because great things only come to fruition when you actually try your absolute best." Following recent tough early tournament stops in both Miami and Linz, this difficult loss to Fernandez officially marked her third consecutive opening round defeat on the tour. Yet, despite these string of athletic setbacks, her fans' fierce loyalty remained completely unshaken. They remained in their arena seats long after the final point was played, proudly waving their flags and loudly chanting her name into the night, reassuring her young hero that they would be unconditionally there for her, win or lose. A long road ahead, and Sabalenka saw it all. Meanwhile, from her premium vantage point up in the secure players box, Aryna Sabalenka quietly watched the entire match unfold with intense focus. She witnessed firsthand Eala's immense physical effort, her deep structural resilience, and her absolute refusal to surrender even when the scoreboard looked incredibly bleak near the end of the second set. Furthermore, she closely observed the behavior of the crowd, the exact same group of people that had given Eala such an unprecedented royal welcome earlier in the week, as they continued to passionately cheer her on with maximum energy until the very final second of the match. The grueling international clay court season still lies heavily ahead before Eala shifts her focus towards the major upcoming stages in Madrid, Rome, and the historic red clay of Roland Garros. Additionally, her highly publicized tactical curse against elite Czech tennis players remains completely unbroken, with her official head-to-head record against Czech opponents currently sitting at 0 wins and 13 losses. Yet, despite these structural challenges on the court, she possesses a powerful weapon that no mathematical ranking system or computer algorithm could ever successfully measure: the unconditional, roaring love of an entire global population that will eagerly follow her footsteps wherever she goes. Following the historic events that transpired in Stuttgart, it has become undeniably clear to the sports world that Alex Eala is far more than just a typical tennis player executing strokes. She has officially evolved into a full-scale cultural movement, and the reigning queen of tennis, Aryna Sabalenka, was left completely and utterly stunned by that realization. The central question moving forward is no longer whether Eala has the physical tools to eventually win a Grand Slam title, but rather, is the traditionally rigid world of professional tennis truly ready for a modern superstar whose commercial value, global draw, and cultural impact far exceed her actual numerical place on the official WTA scoreboard? An effect beyond tennis. What do you think? To recap this unbelievable sporting narrative, Alex Eala received a truly historic, completely unprecedented fan welcome in the nation of Germany, and the world #1, Aryna Sabalenka, witnessed the entire phenomenon unfold in absolute awe. An astonishing estimated crowd of 55,000 passionate Filipino spectators descended upon the city of Stuttgart, effectively turning an entire European city into a high-energy festival of national pride. A literal sea of blue, red, and yellow flags lined the public streets surrounding the iconic Porsche